I think he'll be going against this Canberra pack, trying to get some little incisions through there because they will tire.
Well, Cook was on fire for the Rabbits. We saw that. He's been on fire the last month. What's McGuinness got to do to get a little bit of a nose in front for State of Origin, Dan?
Your Sunday ticket is underway. If it's anything like Super Saturday, it will be a wild ride. And the Dragons received the kickoff eventually after they let the ball bounce. It went towards the sideline. And now Aitken scoots out of dummy half. As the pictures show, it's a glorious day in the central west of New South Wales, just under 300 kilometres west of Sydney. It's good weather if you're sitting on the hill. Not so good if you're a country person in desperate need of rain. This dry spell continues, but the Glen Willow Stadium surface sensational again as the Dragons go straight through. Matt Duffy, the flick ball. What a pass for Widdop, who's pulled down 10 metres short. Early excitement for the crowd in Mudgee, and those watching on Fox League. Hunt for DeBellin. It's been knocked on by James Graham. No, play continues. Last tackle with Graham slow back to his feet. He's gone down on his haunches. Sims threw it out the back to Widdop. Cleaned up by Laffey. Still the last. And the Raiders cling on desperately.
Well, I'll tell you what, if the Saints are on here this afternoon, the Raiders have got to be good in a lot of areas. Saints have got the most running metres in the competition, and their offloads are second to none.
Well, it all started back there with Vaughan's offload, didn't it? But Duffy made the wrong decision with that flick pass. Made it harder than what it had to be. Just needed to draw the fullback, and he had Widdop on the inside. A spectacular flick pass at the same.
Well, they went straight past Joey Leilua. Now, I'm having a look at him on the sideline at the moment. He's hobbling. He couldn't get off the mark there. Laterally, he got beat back on the inside.
Now Charlie Gubb, he's been called into the starting 13 after running for more than 100 metres off the bench last week. Havili for Papali, who was under pressure. The defence was up quickly. Tarek Sims leading that defensive line. Now Havili with an awkward pass out of dummy half. The Dragons in the crowd claimed it was forward. And the Raiders complete via the boot of Aidan Caesar, end over end. And Duffy puts it down. 2 early touches for Matt Duffy. A break and then a bomb dropped.
He's very casual in that take there, Matt Duffy. You'd expect him to swallow that up. Very accomplished in that position with the high ball. There's a little bit of breeze out there. We'll have to get Hannah Hollis to have a check on that, but be disappointed with that effort.
And very important for both sides to start fast. They're exactly done that, but now we see the Raiders 10 metres out, just to the left of the upright. They'll put something on, some sort of play here straight away.
Looking for the first try, the Canberra Raiders in great position to do so early in this contest, having held on. That busy start from the Dragons that saw Duffy go straight through. Tarpany at the 10-metre line. A slightly angled run, and he attracts a penalty.
Back foot, guys, back foot, Paul. When you're ready. Jack, back foot.
Saliva Havili, the former St George Illawarra Dragon, preparing for the tap. He'll be a motivated man. He played games in the NRL with the Dragons in 2016, but was confined to the Intrust Super Premiership last season at the club. Hence his move to Canberra. Havili after that run from Sia Soliola, Caesar to Whitehead. Elliott Whitehead to the goal line, but he's held up.
Marcus straight.
Whitehead retreats in the warm-up. He was in deep, serious conversation with Charlie Gubb. The 2 Canberra forwards discussing the game ahead. Now Caesar. Here's Austin. What a comeback from that ankle injury last week that forced him off and was set to keep him out for up to a month. A week later, he's back in the team. Havili. Behind Gubb to Caesar. This is Jack Whiten. A ball for Nick Kotrick. The Dragons will do well to keep him out, and they can't. Nick Kotrick, this 19-year-old tyro on a wing, has burst over to score first for Canberra.
Well, you can't stop Nick Kotrick when you're going backwards like that, like Jason Nightingale on your own line. He's too strong. Beautiful set play. Nice ball from Havili onto Caesar. And Whiten just sums it up. Once again, big man on small man. He's just too big and too strong there, Kotrick.
Was really well summed up too. Jack Whiten has improved in that area where the catch and pass on the outside. Kotrick here, as you mentioned, Danny, on the back foot there. the St George Illawarra defence. They got caught flat-footed, and Kotrick, way too strong here, bounces away, uses his arms well and his forearms to bounce away a couple of defenders. Just like that, they're in after the mistake from Matt Duffy. The Canberra Raiders open the scoring.
So Nick Kotrick with his 5th try of the season. As New South Wales selector Greg Alexander said he would handle any level in the world. The Dalian Rookie of the Year in 2017, where he was an emerging blue. He might be more than that in 2018. He scores for a 3rd week in a row. And the ball from Jack Whiten, who's one of 2 Central West representatives in this game. Jack Whiten from Orange, Shannon Boyd off the bench for Canberra from Cowra. Both also part of Group 10 territory in which the Mudgee Dragons perform. So they're the local boys, albeit not from Mudgee.
Well, he's improved in that area, hasn't he, Danny? Jack Whiten with the catch and pass. He summed it up pretty quickly. Beautiful pass on the outside.
We'll be going down that way a lot more today because that is the edge. St George Illawarra Dragons do concede a lot of tries down that right edge. So they'll be down there again.
From the sideline, Jared Croker has it skewed to the left of the goals. But let's say good afternoon to Hannah Hollis' sideline. And Hannah, the Dragons will want to improve their wearing black armbands today to honour 2 individuals.
They are, Maddie, thank you. First of all, the Raiders, they certainly know how to put points on, though, early in the first half. But onto the Dragons, the black armbands pay respect to 22-year-old Tori Brunning, who tragically passed away after playing for the Dapto Canaries last week. And debutant Blake Laurie played with Tori for the Steelers junior reps when they were teenagers. The second person remembered today is Merv Keys, 1956 Premiership winner. That was, of course, the start of the Dragons' 11-year Premiership reign.
Yeah, thoughts to the family and friends of Tori Brunning and Merv Lees. As the Canberra Raiders come away from their own end. Danny, I'm not doing my job as a commentator if I don't go back to Nick Kotrick and ban you from using the phrase "in the mix." What can you tell us about Nick Kotrick and his Blues chances in 2018?
Yeah, look, Matty, if he's in the team, he'll do a great job because every week he does a great job. So it's a new arena, a big stage for him, but he seems like a big stage player to mine.
Jordan Rapana skipping out of 1 tackle. Now Leilua through Austin onto Sia Soliola. How tight is this competition for a wing position?
Oh, it's very tight. You know, a lot of the players are in good form, which is great. So all come down to the style that Freddie and the coaching staff want to play.
The kick from the Canberra Raiders goes down to Jason Nightingale, who hasn't scored for 9 games. He crossed in round 1. And he's on a significant drought by the standards, the high standards set from Jason Nightingale over the years.
So I know you need to do your job unless you're actually giving the ball.
So the Dragons through Nene McDonald's, who's found really encouraging form in 2018 after a self-confessed attitude shift early in the season. More training, a shift in mindset, and it's working for him. James Graham. Tackled by Sia Soliola, and they would have seen plenty of each other as opponents, but also as teammates, Danny, at St Helens.
Yeah, it was a magic weekend in the UK last night, and those 2 went at it together for the St Helens team, who had a big victory last night against Widnes.
So Whiten gets just beyond the 10, and now Rapana comes away with it. Yeah, the magic weekend coming to the NRL next season.
It will be a great weekend.
You played with Leeds, and Blocker, you were over there with Warrington, if I'm not mistaken.
So you're 100% right. What a pleasure it was to play over there. I think Danny played in the summer. We used to play in the winter.
They have the magic weekend in your days, Blocker.
Every weekend was a magic weekend over there.
Yes, I can imagine. So Havili into dummy half through Caesar and Charlie Gubb, who left the Warriors, having joined the Auckland club from Wellington. And now he comes to Canberra. The kick from Canberra bounces down to Matt Duffy. The trap with the foot. Nightingale works his way into position, other side of the field, and straightens into Joe Tarpany.
That was a better defensive set from the Dragons. Don't forget, they've had a real tough last month. The Warriors, Roosters, Storm, South. So they've been up for last month. They had a bit of a slip last week against the Bunnies, but they're up against it again today. This will be an absorbing match.
McInnes to Nene McDonald. The last 2 meetings have been absorbing. They've both gone to Golden Point. And if you remember back to St George Illawarra's inaugural year, 1999, the joint venture had its first victory against Canberra in a thriller. The penalty here to the team I speak of.
Well, that was good play there from Paul Vaughan. If you have a look at it, the big front rower with a little bit of footwork at the line, speed, won the penalty there. Good start here from the Canberra Raiders. Although they've given away that penalty, they've completed 4 from 4, so a good start from both sides.
Yeah, that bit of footwork, as you spoke about there, Block, just enables you to find your front. And that low tackle from Gov makes you fall on your front as a quick play the ball, so you earn your right to play it.
Tarek Sims accelerates inside Canberra's 20. Now Graham has been able to shake that early injury problem. Paul Vaughan with Soliola around his ankles. Perfectly positioned St George Illawarra. McInnes through Widdop. Here's Hunt. Out the back, Matt Duffy across fields and grabbed by Aiden Caesar and Jared Croker. They set up for a sweep back to the left. It's Hunt. And DeBellin straightens instead. The ball grabbed by Saliva Havili. Workhorse Soliola there as well. McInnes to James Graham playing a 5/8 pivot role here. There's the actual pivot. And Widdop is tackled by Blake Austin. Laffey for Hunt, who measures his kick across the field. Croker is up there, it's still there.
Gee, that was great play by the captain of St George Illawarra, Gareth Widdop. He knows that Blake Austin had an ankle injury during the week. Tried to just burn him on the outside, let him know that he's around. He had to make the tackle. It was a good tackle by Austin. The Raiders get the football 10 metres out.
And Danby have knocked that on into Jared Croker to Ewan Aiken. Dragons in a big set here to really force home that set. It was a pretty good set in attack.
That'll help.
It's a ruck penalty. You just got to clear that area, right? You got to release.
The voice there of Ashley Klein in charge of this one, along with Peter Goff.
Bit of experience here from Jared Croker too. I think he milked that penalty, gets the penalty to get them out of trouble. And 0 tackle, they get the penalty, they'll kick for touch. Good quality game of footy early.
And you just get the feeling we're in for that, Blocker. As I mentioned, the first ever meeting between these clubs was a thriller. It took some late heroics from Wayne Bartram, Rod Wishart to give the joint venture their first ever victory against Canberra. The last two, as I mentioned, going to Golden Point. And in recent times, a string of single-figure margins.
I think it was 15 from 16. The Raiders had one against the Dragons at one stage. It was their bogey side and Hoodoo side. So I think the last 5 meetings they've won for the Dragons.
It shifted back under the reign of Paul McGregor, who as a player and a coach does fantastically well against the Raiders. 6 of 7. Here's Jack Whiten. Looking dangerous again on that left-hand edge as he injects himself. Now Whitehead for Caesar. Soliola. Straight into Cam McInnes. Assisted by DeBellin, who will keep our eye on. He's had that hip injury that the Dragons are hesitant to expand or reveal much about. Whiten, hands free for Jared Croker.
Come forward, I think.
That's the way they've ruled.
You've got to love Jack Whiten coming into the ball like that. And he comes and straightens up off that left foot. He has that 3-on-2 option, but he chose to go by himself. It's exciting to watch.
There's the pass. You spotted it well, Blocker. Forward from Whiten to Croker. Jack Whiten, the only team he hasn't scored against in the NRL, is the one he's playing against today. The Red V of the Dragons. Look at the footwork from Tyson Frizzell. For a big man, you are constantly amazed at his ability to shift his position quickly on the field.
Gee, it's hard to defend against a bloke who cuts back on the inside because the ball leaves you and you think, hello, I'll just relax here. And all of a sudden you see Tyson Frizzell coming back at you with footwork.
And then that big barrel chest bumping into you as well. DeBellin standing, now able to pass. It's all slow motion stuff at the moment. James Graham.
Release! Tackle forward, play there, James. Go, he shortened it.
McInnes finds Hunt, who skips forward, shows it to Frizzell, brushes away from Caesar, and now Ewan Aitken is accommodated by 3 Raiders. Final tackle, Dragons just inside Canberra territory. And Hunt aims for a torpedo. Instead it wobbles awkwardly down for Rapana, who has a little bobble but gets it safely and can't break the first chaser. That's a good tackle, Cam McInnes. We know how many tackles Jordan Rapana breaks each season. So to get him one-on-one first attempts, McInnes take a bow. Now Kotrick.
Cameron, flop.
That's what we sort of spoke about before with the Vaughan with his footwork at the line. Look at this footwork from Kotrick at the line, which earns him the right to play the ball quick. Just beautiful evasion skills that he does possess.
I do love watching the Canberra Raiders when they play nice and direct and fast. They've already won 3 penalties in this game because the Saints are trying to slow them down a little bit. It hasn't happened so far.
Another good crowd in here. Boys, a highlight this season has to be the atmosphere, the experience at the regional visits to Toowoomba, Gladstone, Tamworth, Bathurst, now Mudgee.
What about the smell of those steak sandwiches walking in here, Matty? That's what did it for me. Felt like home. I'm home in the bush.
It's the onions that get me.
Papali inside the 20. Plenty of metres post-contact for Big Josh as Havili shows it short side, goes open, and Sia Soliola tackled by DeBellin and Graham. Aiden Caesar at the line finds Whitehead, tackled on the spot by Ben Hunt. Now Caesar steers it towards the uprights, through the uprights, and Widdop is back there. That's a good kick.
Well, they only had one chaser there in Blake Austin, and I'm not sure that they understood what Caesar was trying to do there, this right edge of the Raiders. So there's an opportunity. The ball did roll.
Tell you what I do love, Danny, when they kick the ball off the side of their boot here. Here's some good charges here from Papali. Great start to the game from this bloke. Nice and direct, digging into the line. Here's the kick now. Just off the side of the boot, deliberate, so it bounces that way. Good chase there from Austin. Good start to the game here from the Canberra Raiders. They've been perfect so far.
Widdop sends it 70 metres. On the bounce at 75, and Jordan Rapana back to halfway. But what about Widdop's goal line dropout? This is Papali trying to undo the work done via the boot of Widdop. Austin to the line, Tarpany. Couldn't get away from Lafayette. Ball Sims over the top. They rush the short side and put it down. Joey Leilua. But the penalty goes to Canberra. Interference in the play the ball rules, Ashley Klein.
We do say that a lot in the modern day game. After an error, there's always a penalty sometimes, which lets the mistake off the hook. And BJ will be really happy with about that call because they're in a perfect position here with a bit of pressure.
Well, Saints have got to watch their discipline. Already given away 4 penalties in the ruck so far. Trying to slow the Raiders down. That's what the problem is.
Charlie Gov, just his 3rd game of the season. Now Aiden Caesar running onto the ball at depth, tipped on by Austin. Leilua gets the ball away. Back to Caesar. Across in front of the uprights. His kick into the in-goal again. Hunt, work to do, and he does it well. Back into the field of play. Good rugby league all round.
Well done, Ben Hunt. He could feel the Raiders pushing flat, which means the kick was on, and he dropped back. It's a big play for his team.
And Lafayette taking good metres as well. I thought he was destined to be caught in goal.
Well, I reckon Ricky Stewart will be talking about to his team. There's been some good kicks put in goal, but only one chaser. You need to chase as a group. Hunt cleans it up beautifully. There's the penalty inside the 10 metres.
Yeah, it ended up an all-or-nothing play there from Caesar, didn't it, really? He went for the try with that kick, and they still had tackles up their sleeve. Would have preferred, I'd say, to stay down there a little bit longer and have a look out in that left edge.
What a big moment there, because Ben Hunt gets back into the field of play, and then a few plays later they get the penalty. Rather than defending their own line, they're going to be attacking Canberra's. And the Raiders, they don't force a lot of goal line dropouts. 9 so far this season.
All scored many tries off kicks, Matty.
Yeah.
It's one part of their game last year. They had Hodgson in there, that little dummy half kick, which exposed a lot of teams, but they just don't do it this year.
DeBellin finds Paul Vaughan on the run. He spent 4 years and 85 games as a Canberra Raider. Hunt across field has Aitken changing the angle across the 10-metre line. He pulls up. And now goes at the defensive line. It was because Jack de Belin.
I don't like that rule. I just wish there'd be a penalty if you run behind someone. Anyway, it just makes the game look a little bit stop-start.
Tarek Sims, he certainly started. He almost burst through, close to the line. They can't keep the Dragons out. It is Jack de Belin in under the crossbar. They just worked their way too close for Canberra's defence to work.
Well, you see most teams, they set up with 2 forwards there just to keep the numbers in and around the post. Nice little staggered shape. Here's his shot from Widdop. Drops under Tarek Sims, who does punch a hole right in there, and he has to play the ball quick there. Nice select pass from McInnes. Just catches out Papali, ball watching.
Well, it's just players' emotions too. What set that try up there was a great run from Tarek Sims. And then 2 players running at the same sort of angle. Very hard to read, very hard to stop. And de Belin, too strong, just leans over, slams the football down. The Saints are back in it.
Jack de Belin in his 8th season at St George Illawarra, and you know what? Until now, he'd never scored more than 2 tries in a single season. That's 3rd for 2018. His best try-scoring year yet. Well,
he has got a lot of ability with the ball in hand, hasn't he? Usually he's passing or setting up plays, but anyone that gets in that shape and that determined to score from that position, you find they do cross the stripe.
I know a lot of us rave on about the attacking ability of players. Here's the kick. He's just kicked it. But the defensive Jack de Belin, just watch him, 1 out, just gets up under the ball and he cuts players in half.
Hannah Holler's sideline.
Interesting that Jack de Belin's hip point injury not proving him any issues today. The club keeping that injury very close to their chest, and Ben Hunt managing to play through that cork from last week. He's doing a great job as well.
And Ricky Stewart has sent Shannon Boyd on, Hannah. A big week for Shannon, inking that 4-year, $2.5 million deal at the Gold Coast Titans. It'll be Jared Wallace and that man in the front row for the Titans next year. But firstly, the kid from Cowra has to see out his Canberra career.
Well, how good is it seeing the big boppers getting the lovely? Give us some honey. Beautiful. How good is it?
You got plenty of honey in your days, Blocker.
I was looking at the dates on the calendar. You're kidding.
So the restart skews towards Nightingale, back to the middle of the field. Paul Vaughan, he was slapped by 3 or 4 players. Questionable defence there by Raiders. And Paul Vaughan happy to keep on running against his former teammates.
So you line up then, Danny, leg speed in the front row. What a great run there from Vaughan.
It's got that great hit and spin too, but that play the ball on the 30-metre line off the kick-off, that right edge for Canberra. A bit of a rocket from Ricky Stewart.
McInnes finds de Belin running off his hip. Speaking of hips, 10 metres into Raiders territory. McInnes, now Widdop. Out the back, it's Dufty, but there's a whistle for a forward pass.
Well, the touchy must have called it because the referee was in no position to have a look at that. They try and play fast and flat off the ruck. I'd love to see it again.
Oh, we were in great position. That was forward, looked forward. But this ability from Paul Vaughan with his hit and spin. Here it is. Here you'll find. There it is. It's a beautiful hit and spin. It does wonders for his game. Got great footwork as well. But that is not the right defence from a right edge. Off a kick-off from the Canberra Raiders.
He was always on the record as saying he would have liked to stay at Canberra, being a Tuggeranong boy, but it wasn't to be. And last time he played the Raiders, he was a man inspired. Paul Vaughan, nearly 200 metres, 31 tackles. He looks in a mood again today as White from the back of the scrum breaks the first tackle, gets to halfway. Jared Croker goes it alone out of dummy half. Tackled by Hunts and Aitken. Had a Hingano on for the Raiders as well. Into that dummy half roll now.
Yeah, Bateman's just come on for Soliolo. I think it's a HIA.
Sees it. Now Tarpany. He's straightened towards a hole, but it closes quickly, and de Belin is around the ankles to shut him down. Hingano to Caesar. Whiten again. This is Whitehead. Changing the angle and getting the offload to his half. Caesar goes to Austin. Austin dummies to Tarpany. Joey Leilua. It opens up. He walks through. The Dragons have stopped, saying obstruction.
He gave
what's your
himself
live
up
opinion?
too,
I thought
Joey.
he just went with the ball carrier. Okay. Coming up to tackle 5 here, Horse. We have a try. Now, we're just confirming there's no obstruction and that the defender went with the ball carrier rather than the runner coming back this way.
Look at the big hole here if he hits Tarpany on this drop line. Where Jack DeBellin is, there's a big hole there. He's not filling in the space, and it just opens up. It just opens up.
The Dragons stop. Look at Matt Duffy there. Doesn't even attempt the tackle. All his teammates are appealing.
And notice Tarek Sims.
But they're not playing to the whistle.
That's right. Watch Tarek Sims here. He pushes Austin away.
Looking at any possible obstruction here on Tarek Sims.
No way.
Well,
have a look what Tarek Sims does here. He can't get back there, so he pushes Austin. Look.
It's a defensive error from Gareth Widdop as well. Gareth Widdop needs to stay in the line.
He tried to get on his bike to get over to those outside men.
It's a defensive decision by Tarek Sims to remain on Blake Austin, and there's no attempt at Tarek Sims to go in on the ball carrier.
That's a try.
It will be one of the strangest tries we've seen this season. Such a horrible breakdown in the Dragons' defensive
setup. And the ball is grounded by Joey Leilua.
We have a decision. Appealed to the referees. Can you help us out and find something wrong with that?
Well, Leilua nearly gave himself up. Once he went back on the inside, he slowed up and looked at the referee.
Joey Leilua gets the try. Ash Klein was right to signal try. And Paul McGregor will be thinking, right, defensive drills first thing Monday morning.
Yeah, as I spoke about, if he hits Joey Tarpany there, that's a huge hole even there. And then all of a sudden, Gareth Widdop, he needed to stay right there where Joe Leilua is there now. He probably would have solved it, but he overchased. It's a defensive error. It's a rightly awarded try.
Just the middle of the ruck where we see Whitehead being able to just keep the ball moving, just with one offload. They shift straight away. Leilua, look at him slowing down, saying, oh, can't be a try, this, can it?
So Joey Leilua gets his 4th try for the season. Of course, he played in the Roosters grand final team of 2010. 3 seasons of the Rooster, 2.5 at Newcastle, and now he's in his 4th year at the Raiders. Jared Croker, his team out by 2. And he makes it 4. Again, the kick skewing off the tee, but it finds the mark.
And James Graham just going up the tunnel too. He's just been replaced. I think he's in with the doctor at the moment, so it'll be interesting to see what's happened to James Graham.
The most pleasing part for Ricky Stewart today is the way that they've started. He challenged his team to come out of the blocks. The first 25 minutes have been outstanding, and what are they, 92% completions, which hasn't been their strong point for the season, but as you know, you complete your sets, get through it and play like this, play up tempo. Points come on the back of it.
The wind blowing in behind the Dragons, and the kickoff floats long down for Papali, wrapped up by Leeson Armau. The Raiders ahead, 10-6. 15.5 left in this opening period in Mudgee. Ata Hingano from dummy half goes to Shannon Boyd, who winds up or tries to before the Dragons get to him. It was DeBellin first. Caesar. Now Austin and Tarpany. It'll be a good battle, Tarpany and Tarek Sims. 2 really physical players who don't mind mixing the rough stuff up. Bateman loses his legs. Again, it's DeBellin. Final play, and Caesar drives it at body height through the line, down to Nightingale, who's supported by Duffy if he needs him. Nightingale, the stutter step into the defensive line.
The challenge for the Raiders in their halves is just to control this tempo. It's been a great tempo for them, but just keep the accelerator down and keep the pressure on, and that's on the back of their kicking game, so that's on to Caesar.
McGuinness finds Nene McDonald. And they get the penalty, St George Illawarra.
Atta, you weren't straight, mate. Come on.
Ata Hingano not square at marker. Not the first time we've seen that penalty this weekend.
Gee, it was
poor old Cowboys.
It was a late penalty, wasn't it? I mean, McDonald run in field 20 metres. They give away the penalty, so they've got to defend now. They've been tough and rugged so far early in this game, the Raiders. Getting 2 and 3 in the tackles.
Tarek Sims takes a settler. And the Dragons fan out to the right. DeBellin goes on for Lisa Narmau at the 20-metre line.
Matty, injury news from the Dragons bench. James Graham up the tunnel, as you saw. The doctor said he copped a knee to the back early. We'll see if he comes back, though.
Yeah, worrying for James Graham as Tarek Sims is cut down just short. McInnes couldn't go anywhere out of dummy half. And another penalty.
Well, he's in some sort of form, isn't he, Austin? That was another great tackle. Looks like they're aiming at him. Tarek Sims, a beautiful legs tackle there from Austin to just hold him out.
The big Shannon Boyd got pinned there. You can't pivot on the play of the ball, so you have to release and just roll to the side.
Big contact on Tarek Sims. It was Boyd initially, assisted by Bateman. DeBellin, he can't get the ball away. The play the ball questionable, and it's a penalty to the Raiders.
You've got to remain on your feet. You've got to ground.
They didn't play the ball properly. The only question was it because of Canberra's involvement or not? And Ash Klein says, no, Jack, you've got to do better than that.
Well, it could have gone either way that time because the Raiders were hanging on to him. He was just trying to get to his feet to play the football.
I'll come through, mate.
They've been under the pump for the last couple of minutes. It's a relieving one. Tarek Sims looked like he was going to score. It was a grass cutter tackle from Blake Austin, so they've got away with it. Now they can march upfield themselves.
Here comes Shannon Boyd. His coach, Ricky Stewart, saying pre-game, we'll only win this if we can reduce the avoidable errors. And so far, the Raiders only making the one mistake. They're doing what they want for that man. Caesar, Austin, the pass there on cue. Commentator's curse put down by Elliott Whitehead.
Yeah, just an execution error there. It was the right shape, but Austin wanted to go out the back. So he just got in the way, did Elliott Whitehead. But once again, there was a lot of space out there for the left edge of the Canberra Raiders and the right edge of the Dragons. Needs to probably come up and in, but that right hand of Elliott Whitehead just gets in the way. That's the second error, I think, Matty. So you're just speaking about the error rate.
This is when fatigue starts to set in for the Canberra Raiders because it's such a massive side. 11.5 minutes to go before half-time. Let's see if they can hang on.
The Dragons completing 9 of 12. Canberra 12 of 14 sets so far. Coming into this round, this game featured the two leading point scorers in the league. Gareth Widdop, 110 starting the round. Croker, 96. Up above 100 now. Widdop goes on to Vaughan, who skips onto the ball 5-6 metres into Canberra territory. Behind DeBellin, it's Widdop through Hunt, who dummies, straightens, gets the ball away. Back for McInnes, this is DeBellin. And Whitehead makes sure there's no offload. The ball comes free. It was Bateman, in fact, the tackler. Picked up by Whitehead, and Shannon Boyd comes away with it.
Yeah, just relieved too much pressure, haven't they, the last two sets of 6 with the ball, the Dragons. Jack DeBellin coming up with a penalty and then an error there. And to really just get back to those specifics and those things he does really well.
Well, Hannah sideline, the conditions look good, but what we can't see is the wind. How much of a factor is it?
Well, it's really interesting, Matty, because it comes and goes, and it is at the backs of the Dragons, which is interesting because it would explain why that kick went 70 metres a little bit earlier in the first half. So it comes and goes. It's hard to say how much of an impact it is actually having today. I need to give you guys some news, though, from last night. Curtis Scott has been given a grade 3 striking charge, and with an early guilty plea, it'll be a 3-week suspension. As for Api Coruscant, it's a grade 1 striking charge, and it will be 1 week with an early guilty plea.
Thank you, Hannah. Yes, news out of Manly that Dylan Walker has a fractured eye socket after being struck by Curtis Scott and could miss up to 6 weeks. So 6 weeks possibly for Walker, 3 weeks possibly for Curtis Scott, as Tarpany stays on the ground after a heavy collision.
40, boys. 40.
Real problems for Joe Tarpany.
He's grabbing at the jaw.
Down the short side, Widdop back towards the posts. And onto the ball quickly, Jack Whiten. Whiten gets the ball away to Croker. There's a bit of room on the outside, but Ewan Aitken there in defence.
He's still down, Tarpany. They're stopping the game
Tackle
now.
one, Jared Croker.
Must be a head clash here.
Oh, it's terrible. It came through the glass in the commentary box. Such was the collision.
Well, the good news is he's on his feet. Got one of the trainers talking to him at the moment. Just peeled out the back there.
It'll be an HIA, unquestionably, but you just hope that the structure of the jaw is okay. And the signs here are good.
They are.
So there's been some good collisions. Here it is again. Ushka.
So James Graham preparing for the Tour de France, and amazingly, Joe Tarpany is going to go back into the defensive line.
Joe, tough kid, Joey. He's found a real place for himself down there in Canberra on that right edge. So much more potential to give as well.
Cut, move! Mark straight! Stand up, go.
What a recovery. Joe Tarpany sees it to Austin, who's made his own recovery this week.
Wait here. Kurt, wait. Cameron with me.
Now, Josh Papali. Jack Whiten bouncing into Tim Laffey.
How good's he been, Papali? He's run for 87 metres in the first half. Great effort.
Just building on what he did last weekend, Blocker. The kick from Croker down to Dufty.
All on, Renton!
I'm just following Joe Tarpany, who still looks a little ginger. And the Dragons attack on the other side of the field through Nightingale.
You'd say that would be a HIA for Joe Tarpany. Looks like a bit of action down there now to get him replaced.
I'm amazed that he's not off already. I'm not a doctor. I'm in no way qualified to comment, but when you see that collision and the players stay on the field in the modern game, I'm amazed.
Yeah, that's what's there for. He'll be coming off.
Speaking of the Raiders, Matty, Sevilla Havili has passed his HIA. He will return, and I just spoke to James Graham as he's warming up, and he gave me the thumbs up, and he said he'll be back shortly.
Good news all round, Hannah, thank you. So Joe gets involved in that tackle. And there's the man cleared, as Hannah just announced, Saliva Havili.
Let's go, guys.
We've said it before this season, but hasn't 2018 been a bright year for him? After a couple of years at the Warriors, 1 year as a St George Illawarra Dragon, because he didn't play in NRL last season.
They've made a few errors, haven't they, the Dragons, in this first half? 5 errors. A lot of them would be in the ruck, so discipline, getting up to play the football. They've got to be a lot better in the second half. As we say, Joey Leilua comes up with the same sort of error.
So just over 6.5 left. There's the loss from Joseph Leilua. 5 errors by the Dragons, 3 by the Raiders.
Make sure you wait, Blake, Joey.
And Joe Tarpany, good to go on.
Stay in, Jack.
Play on.
Hold down, Luke, wait.
Tim Laffey couldn't get away from Blake Austin after we're done in Mudgee. We're off to Southern Cross Group Stadium to watch the hottest team in the league, Cronulla, chasing a 5th straight victory. They host Canterbury, and that's the second leg of your Sunday tickets. Cam McInnes through Kurt Mann on now for the Dragons, and Leeson Armour head down, dragging the Raiders towards their own goal line. Mid-set, McInnes to Widdop. This is Hunt. Hunt supported by Tyson Frizzell, who was really motoring.
Beautiful halfback play from Ben Hunt.
Frizzell almost overran his 7. Back now to Hunt, who shows it, gives it to Lattimore, and Lattimore inside the 10. Hunt stabs it through the defensive line. Sims chases, and the Raiders knock it over the dead ball line. Jack Whiten couldn't wait any more, Blocker.
Well, you just got to have a look to see if they get checked on the way through. Here's the tackle on Frizzell, who's a little bit ginger too. He's with a trainer at the moment, getting up to play the ball. He's bobbing up on both sides of the field. Ben Hunt, the grubber kick through. Did he get checked on the way through? Whiten has to play with it. They forced the line drop out.
He's done that very well this season, Gareth Widdop, number 9 in the forced dropout department for 2018. The Dragons have now forced 20 this season. Hunt for Jeremy Lattimore. Was late to the team bus this week, Jeremy Lattimore, and as punishment was forced into getting a spray tan. If you think Jeremy's just a bit more yellow than usual, that will explain it.
I thought he looked a bit tanned out there.
McInnes to Widdop. What's the bus called? By Tonya.
Okay. The Sydney to Wollongong bus.
Yep, if you're not there on time, you spin the wheel and you accept the punishment. Hunt on for Dufty. And Dufty jumping around inside the 10 and then ducking under a high arm from Shannon Boyd. Did he get under it?
Josh.
Joshy Papali.
Report, mate.
Someone coming back through the middle of the ruck like that. Just got to do your best to stop him. And that's a high shot.
It was the original shot, and there's the arm from Boyd that was just clumsily in the location, but the damage was done, you're right, Danny, by Josh Papali.
They're going to put it on report, are they? On report for that high tackle. And the Saints are going to go to the 2. A lot of boos in the crowd.
Well, I've come from everywhere. Blocker from Orange, from Dubbo, from Lithgow, and I could keep on going. They want to see attack. They want to see tries.
Yeah, it's, you know, you see so many penalties now. I think you have to take the 2 these days. I know it sounds... I've changed my train of thought there.
You're becoming more and more the coach,
I
Danny.
think you've got to play percentages, and every chance of getting another 3 penalties, Danny, which means to kick 4 penalty goals. You saw it last night in the Cowboys-Rabbitohs game. I think there was 7 penalty goals, so it all adds up.
Just haven't been able to break into any sort of rhythm, have they, the St George Illawarra side, because of the errors in the play the ball. When they've been coming off their line, they've made a number of errors, 5 to be exact. Just in the play the ball, trying to get to their feet quickly to play the ball. A lot of fumbling. They'll have to fix that up at half-time.
He's off contract, Josh Papali, but I believe there's a new deal from the Raiders for him to consider.
Well, he's found love again. You know why? Because Shannon Boyd has gone to the Titans, and all of a sudden you fall in love with someone else in your footy side. Papali's the man.
Caesar maybe as well. He's found a new contract.
Widdop steers it through. Josh Papali looks at the scoreboard, and because of his mistake, sees an 8-10 lead to his team after they were ahead by 4 in the shadows of half-time. A bit chilly on the sideline in the shadows.
Is that a fatigue penalty, you reckon? Back on the inside there, a much faster man with Matt Dufty. Playing more minutes now, Josh Papali. Lazy arm over the top.
Oh, Block, you'd imagine if you were Josh Papali coming back through and tackling Dufty there, you're just doing your best. No, laterally he's better than you, faster, not stronger. But yeah, you just got to do your best to try and stop him, and hung that lazy arm out.
Just grab whatever you can, even if it's a head. And he costs his team 2 points. 90 seconds left in the first half in Mudgee. Hunt goes to the nearly tan Jeremy Lattimore. 20 out of his own goal line. Tyson Frizzell.
Good, but he's...
Release George! Mark straight.
Kurt Mann, he's greeted by Tarpany, who's been able to stay on the field, clear the cobwebs, and combine with Saliva Havili. Now McInnes, as Leeson Armour drops in behind the ruck. The kicking tee's still on the field. So the ball boys and girls in Mudgee might be off getting one of those steak sandwiches you spoke about. Now a mistake by the Dragons, but Jeremy Lattimore, quick thinking, uses his knees to trap the ball, then clean up with the hands. Hunt kicks, end over end. Rapana in position, and he's tackled straight away. It's McInnes along with de Belin.
Now, I'm not sure which leg is injured from Hunt from last week, but Those kicks that he's putting in the air, he just hasn't really got them today. Put much spring in them. Might be that right leg.
Nick Kotrick, who opened the scoring here with a try in the corner.
News, Maddie. Tyson Frizzell has gone off for an HIA. Jack de Belin back on.
Thank you, Hannah. Jack Whiten down a sideline, and he avoids danger, comes back in field, takes the contact from Widdop, and then succumbs to de Belin. Pick up from Rapana and kick right on half-time. Here's a chance. Dufty kicks. Was he taken after? Too late. The contact came from Tapani.
Just wait. The ball's bounced. The ball's
And
bounced.
it's thrown into touch
Time
by
off.
Havili.
No, we're playing on. Just stay here, guys.
Just going to check this
Jason.
shoulder charge here.
Yeah, I'm going to go down there. Just wait.
Looks like he's got a bit of a target on him too, doesn't he, Dufty?
As soon as again, Stu, that's a
Shoulder
shoulder
charge.
on the player there running through. You're on report for a shoulder charge. We're going for a penalty. Just give us where the ball lands, Sword.
So this is a penalty where the ball stops.
Looks like they're trying to whack Mac Dufty every time he gets the football. Papali gave away a penalty, and now...
Well, what do you do here? You've got to have a shot for goal, don't you?
As we spoke about, Matty, going for those 2 points before, gives you a chance to go into the half-time lead square. And that'd be a fair result.
To make sure that's accurate where he places the ball as well.
Both these
Anyone
teams.
tipping, believing, expecting Canberra to lead at half-time is now cursing the name Joe Tarpany, because there's no guarantee to finish with that 2-point advantage after 40.
Now, on the sideline, Maddie, the Dragons bench have had to get up and move all their chairs so Gareth Widdop can actually have a proper run-up at this.
I wonder if it was the other way round. If the Raiders were sitting there, would they move? You'd get out a cigar and say, we're not going anywhere, big fella.
Yeah, I got to say, Blake Austin was having a few words to Gareth Widdop, telling him there wasn't enough room just before.
There is an intimate feel about Glen Willow Regional Sports Stadium. Plenty of room around the ground, not necessarily plenty of room in it. Gareth Widdop from the sideline to level us up at the half. Flags are up. It's 10-on-10. The Dragons fans, young and old, have reason to wave their flags and hang their banners. After the first 40, the Raiders 2 tries to one, but all square.
And it's
with
been,
the Dragons.
It's been a good effort from Josh Papali too. Continues on with his good form. 9 runs for 95 metres. He leads the way, although he gave away that penalty just a little bit earlier. It's been a great first half from both sides.
And they're ready to cheer their red V, but Danny Badiris, the Dragons, like last week, have been cruelled by errors so far.
They have. They've been a little bit patchy, haven't they, the Dragons? And I'm sure a really good stern talking to from Mary McGregor will get them back on track. But same with Canberra. They've been a little bit patchy, but the 10-all scoreline probably represents the whole match, actually.
I reckon the Raiders will look really dangerous going down their left side. Nightingale and Aiken's side. But you've got to win the right to be able to do that. They've got to win the middle third of the field if they're going to win this game of footy.
Josh Papali's determined to win the middle third of the field. His numbers impressive in the first 40 minutes, building on what he did last week in a beaten team. Both these sides off defeat and keen to bounce straight back to the winner's circle. The Dragons out to stay on top of the Premiership, and the Raiders hoping to crack that top 8 after a really slow beginning to 2018. Austin finds Shannon Boyd. Papali passing that HIA during the half-time break and able to resume in the second 40. Havili to Caesar, who just chips the defence and takes a tackle from de Belin after he struck the ball. He's still on the ground. He's lost all the oxygen from his lungs with that contact.
I reckon he's hurt his shoulder here. His left shoulder, the way that he's landed, de Belin got him from inside out. And it was a great shot. Just watch the way he lands on his shoulder here. Boom, I reckon he's in trouble.
But he'll feel a bit better because the Dragons have made a mistake as they try to get the ball out of their own 20-metre zone.
It's a bit like gridiron now, isn't it? Operation, get the halfback.
Get the quarterback.
Oh, this disappointing start from the Dragons. Big error there, coming out of trouble. Belin doing his job, putting a lot of pressure on the kicker, but Outside backs, the back 3 or 4 need to be on song in this back.
Well, the big thing is,
Danny,
Danny, when you're running a crossfield like that to put a kick in, you're a perfect target for the bloke on the inside to attack you like that.
Danny, you mentioned the error from the Dragons. That's exactly what Paul McGregor didn't want to see. He said at halftime that the Dragons were gifting the Raiders too much opportunity with the penalties and the errors, so clean that up and they'll be all right. As for Ricky Stewart, just tighten up the defence around the ruck, and when they get down into the attacking end, don't try and score off every play. Be patient, build pressure, and points will come.
Thanks, Hannah. Hayden sees it, able to get in a state to resume. He played the first 2 games of the season off the bench. He's been a constant in the halves ever since. Despite the fact his halves partner has rotated over those other 8 games. This is Kotrick exploring up the middle. The Raiders scoring more tries in the middle third of the ground than any team in the competition, and Shannon Boyd is part of the reason for that. Now, you can't tap and go inside the opposition 10, Shannon, so they'll slow it down.
I love it when blokes like Kotrick and that, with their size and their body shape and how tall and big they are, just with their leg speed, coming in the middle of the ruck, just turning blokes back on the inside, finding their front, quick play the ball. Shannon Boyd next to go. They win the penalty.
And this seems to be the obvious decision. Jared Croker from right in front. The team's content to go up by 2s.
They sure are, because you're going to get another penalty in this next 37 minutes. But what happens is, it's so... What's a game go for these days? 95 minutes, 96 minutes apparently. But how long's the ball in play? There's a lot of stoppages. The clock says 80 minutes, but it takes a long time for the game. There's a lot of stoppages in our game at the moment. But why wouldn't you take the 2?
We had 2 lead changes in the first 40 before we finished all square, and now it's the Raiders. Back in front by 2. Ricky Stewart watching on. Speaking of coaches, tonight, Sunday night with Matty Johns, featuring a coach, the Newcastle coach, Nathan Brown, and his star fullback, Kalen Ponga, with Matty and the team. Wasn't there a highlight from Kalen Ponga yesterday as the Knights went 108 metres. Ken Seo started it.
There's always highlights, Matty, for Kalen Ponga. There's always highlights. He's outstanding talent, isn't he? On display up there. Bad loss for the Knights.
Despite his best efforts, the Titans coming up with a much-needed win. Congratulations, Garth Brennan and the Gold Coast Titans, where this man is bound. Shannon Boyd, put on his back, just shy of the 20-metre line. And Papali. That's the next run for the Raiders. Salila Harvili behind Bateman to Austin. Haven't seen a lot of Blake so far, but Leilua spots a bit of a hole. And he's wrestled to the ground by Widdop, who falls off the tackle, leaving McDonald to complete. On the front foot here, Canberra. Bateman finds the middle of the ground, and a tackle from Jack de Belin. Classic de Belin. Under the rib cage. Up and over goes Bateman. Good take, Caesar. Whiten inside the 10. Final play here for the Raiders. Caesar across the ground, deliberately looking for Leilua, who gets it, loses the ball, and it will be penalty St George Illawarra after an offside play from Canberra.
Well, look at that set from the Raiders. 90 metres, they've rolled down the field. An easy shot over to the right and then come back to the left. It's just metres on offer all over the park for the Dragons. It's a worrying sign. Really stiffen up the defence in the middle. Jack de Bellin's doing his thing, but on the edges, there's too many metres conceded. As Ricky Stewart spoke about, finishing off your sets, it would have been nice to stay down there, but it was a forward pass from Lalea.
You'd like to see a little bit more polish on the end of the sets. Now, that's up to Aidan Caesar, who's just got up from a little bit of an injury, and also Blake Austin. He's at his best when he's running the football.
Well, the majority of the crowd is in red and white, and they're sitting a little silent at the moment, realising their team isn't at its best. The sort of form that took St George Illawarra to the top of the table, not seen yet this afternoon. And they get a penalty here because Shannon Boyd has been pinged for high contact. Incidentally, this is the first home game St George Illawarra, the joint venture, has taken away from Sydney or Wollongong. The start of a 2-year deal with Mudgee, to play a Charity Shield game and a Premiership game in the Central West. Lattimore, 20 out. McInnes at dummy half behind DeBellin. Through Widdop onto Hunt, and the straight run comes from Frizzell.
10 metres. Go.
Are they about to find their rhythm, the Dragons? Gareth Widdop, here's a run, a fantastic run, an even better tackle. Blake Austin on Tariq Sims. Widdop, now Leeson Armour. Still going Armour, Whitehead makes the tackle. McInnes, the ball to ground via Widdop, picked up by Dufty, and Leilua ragdolls Dufty. It was Gordon Tallis-esque.
Well, you could almost have a highlights package on the tackles that Blake Austin has made on Tariq Sims. He's tried to drive him mad all through the first half and the start of the second half. What about his defence? Great grass-cutting tackles. It's been a highlight for the Raiders.
Widdop's ball to Tariq Sims, who was careering towards the in goal, but Blake Austin, who has had his defensive critics and struggles, but as those around the Canberra side have said, he has improved in that department, and there's Exhibit A.
Well, he's just making his tackles, isn't he? Doing his job. That's what you want from Ricky Stewart's point of view, and he's doing it nice and easy. Just not overplaying his hand there in defence, just been real patient and letting it all unfold, and he's come up trumps a couple of times on Tariq Sims.
And that's the key, overplaying his hand. He had been criticised for racing up out of the line and exposing players inside and out. But like Josh Papali, having spent time back with Mounties, he's returned in better form. Croker plays it for Harvili to Caesar. Austin now with ball in hand, and there's a bit of return serve. Tariq Sims on Blake Austin this time. Caesar, the inside ball, finds Boyd. And they'll play it on the last 30 out. Caesar. Down for Nightingale, who catches it just outside his goal line, gets away from two chasers, and starts the set, middle of the field.
Oh, there's an error.
The play, the ball is allowed to continue. You said it, Danny. How is that allowed to go on?
Oh, Matty, I was just about to talk about the kick. It was either here nor there, was it? That kick. But let's have a look at this play, the ball. Seen plenty of those pull back. As soon as you touch that ball and goes forward off your foot.
Played it forward, and then second attempt gets it to go backwards, but 9 times out of 10 this season it's been whistle. Canberra ball. The Dragons cut a break, and McDonald takes tackle 4, still well short of halfway. McInnes, pick up and go, trying to do a Cook, and doing magnificently well. Now DeBellin, Dufty kicks. Widdop is there for the Dragons. What a bounce! What a try to the Red V! Started by Cam McInnes, continued by Matt Dufty, and finished by Gareth Widdop.
There's all the things we've been seeing all year from the Dragons, and that's why this 10,000 strong crowd have come into Mudgee to see it firsthand. Beautiful play. Started from McInnes, that right foot, right hand offload on his ever-supporting Jack DeBellin, and obviously the ever-supporting Dufty. Look at the way he's kicked that underneath the bottom of the ball. It's always going to sit up and bounce on this spongy, beautiful surface.
Well, I love the way he just picks it out. The markers were very lazy there that time. McInnes just picked his time to run straight through. DeBellin, great support. The kick downfield. And any number of Saints players are around the football. That is a great try. And that will put them on the front foot now.
Puts a few fans on the front foot, Blocker. Very much so. Those steak sandwiches Danny mentioned being washed down with some ice-cooled lemonade, no doubt. And they're in high spirits after watching one of the highlights in the Dragons season. They've scored some stunning tries. A couple jumped to mind from Gladstone. So they've certainly enjoyed their regional visits.
He thinks about that, Matty, is how direct that try was. It's through the middle. That's when the Dragons having a lot of success. He's through the middle and starts with McInnes. And he does that so many times. It's a quick play of the balls and away he goes.
Gareth Widdop kicks it towards the hills, over the hills to Orange, but here in Mudgee, Hannah, what a view you had of that highlight try.
Oh, it was fantastic to see the Dragons find some form. And let's talk about Cameron McInnes. During the week, he said he doesn't feel like he's hit his potential yet. Can you believe that, Danny Baderas? How much better can he get? And as for Matt Dufty, he said they can't afford to play catch-up footy this week like they tried to do last week. This week it's all about getting back to basics. And he said the vibe of the Dragons outfit is so much better this year than it was last year.
Danny, do you think that the race towards the New South Wales number 9 jersey, Cook and McInnes, are actually bringing the best out of each other?
Oh, absolutely. I think there's nothing like a challenge, and they're both throwing it down, and they're both neck and neck, and every week they're doing their thing. So it's really good to watch.
We watched Damien Cook race away last night against North Queensland to score another wonderful try. And here, less than 24 hours later, Cam McInnes says, don't pick that team yet. I'll run.
I just want to emphasise that skill from Dufty again, running as fast as he can and just kicking the ball underneath. It spins back.
Oh, that's a great play too. They needed something, didn't they? The Canberra Raiders. Leilura's got a one-on-one strip here. Great play.
Havili, and the Raiders go straight on the attack. Suddenly down by 4. Rapana. Hayden Caesar, Bateman dropping underneath. And he's tackled 5 metres out. Havili gives it for Papali, trying to take route 1 to the in goal. Straight up the eye, diddle. Caesar. And don't fall for his dummy. And he's put on his back 5 metres out. Whitehead pointing down the short side. Havili goes the other way and finds Dynamis Louis. He hasn't scored for 50 games, Dynamis. Maybe Mudgee is his location. Now Austin, his kick too heavy and significantly so.
It was too direct from Blake Austin. That's a big momentum changer, because you thought St George, after that amazing try, had the ascendancy and the momentum. And then that one on strip just halted that. And then that kick halted the momentum from Canberra Raiders. There's that one on strip from BJ. He's a strong upper body player, BJ Lalia.
And it's no midget who he wrestled the ball from, Nene McDonald. Papali. The Dragons trying to preserve their unbeaten home record, remembering they are the home team here in Mudgee. They've won all 6 home games so far in season 18, including on Anzac Day at Allianz Stadium. Hunt to Lisa Armour, looking better and better. St George Illawarra. Now Hunt looked inside, instead it's Tariq Sims on the left. Tackled by Louis. Again, it's down the short side through Widdop. Rapana, Louis.
Last tackle.
And Joseph Leilua do enough to force the changeover.
He can play, can't he, Gareth Widdop? Just sums up. He's a threat every time. Just up that short side again. They nearly got him for numbers. Playing nice and fast and flat. And the Saints have got him where they want him now.
What he's got that Kenny knack, hasn't he? When the ball is there to be bounced up or he needs to kick it, he's just got that touch. It always finds him. There's certain players, a small percentage, but he is one of them.
Well, this game is continuing that theme recently in recent seasons between the Dragons and the Raiders. Close finishes, only 4 the difference. And we're inside the final half hour. Across the face of Bateman, who pulls his hands away last minute. And Dynamis Louis plays it. Last play, only now do they enter Dragons territory. Whitehead bumps away from Hunt and kicks. It sits up perfectly for Dufty.
Well, talk about skill. What about that from Whitehead? He spun out of a tackle in one movement, kicks the ball downfield, but Dufty was in perfect position for the Saints.
He's been skillful and a try scorer for them this year, Block. Whitehead with 6 tries, trailing only Jared Croker. And the Dragons through Tariq Sims. In fact, Whitehead's still level with Croker on 6. De Belin called by Vaughan on the inside, but De Belin goes it alone, offloads to McInnes. Widdop with a second phase play here for the Dragons. A change of angle. Nene McDonald. Josh Papali scrambles to shut him down. Hunts. The kick is high. It will come down in the in goal and be marked by Jack Whiten. So they race back to the 20-metre line. 7 tackles up their sleeve. And room as Croker bursts into open territory and takes a tackle from Matt Duffy.
That's a Canberra special, isn't it? They've done it
now Rapana's away. A quick tap and go. This is legal. And Rapana catches St George Illawarra unawares. In the blink of an eye, they've gone 100 metres from Whiten's mark in goal, his tap and go, Rapana's tap and go, back on level terms, kick to come, the Raiders will lead.
Well, it's definitely no fluke, but we have seen that many a time over the years. And there's Paul McGregor, just furious with that. And the quick tap, so many backs facing Rapana. You just can't turn your back on someone like that, but that play from the 20-metre tap just changed all the momentum, earned the right to play it quick. Nightingale goes on with the tackle. Then there's just a heads-up play, quick tap.
But, Danny, they needed something, didn't they, the Canberra Raiders? The last couple of sets of 6 tackles, I've been watching their retreat when they've been defending, been very slow to get back. They need a little bit of spark. It all started from the restart from Whiten. A perfect pass straight away to Croker. And then on the back of that, the penalty, Rapana sprints away. As you said, turn your back. You can't do that now these days. Sprints away, puts him in front again.
Yeah, it's just a concentration try. That's be upsetting Paul McGregor, and just attention to detail. You know you just can't do those sort of things at this level. Otherwise you're going to get beat.
We haven't seen a lot of ranting and raving from Paul McGregor this season. Certainly not that type of coach in the box, but he was on his feet and barking into the walkie-talkie there. You can understand how that passage of play would drive a coach wild.
There's a lot of errors in there, just team errors, defensive errors. I'm sure he'll highlight on Monday if he calms down.
The Raiders' record point scorer about to add 2 more to the tally and kick Canberra back in front. (18-16), Canberra in front. A thrilling finish set in Mudgee as Paul McGregor has plenty to ponder, but yes, listen in. Listen in, Dragons fans. The Raiders are here and they mean business, but straight after Mudgee, we are going to Southern Cross Group Stadium. The Sharks hosting the Dogs, and we can report that Josh Dugan is in for Cronulla. He will start at fullback, and that forces Valentine Holmes back to a wing. Can the Sharkies make it 5 straight? That coming up next on your Sunday tickets. Still a lot of time left in the Central West as Nick Kotrick skids onto the ball. Marks safely and takes the tackle 18 metres out.
Stay with me, stay. Go.
Soliola now.
Jack, move! With me, Tyson. Go. 2. Mark is good.
This is Dynamis Louis.
Tyson, get up! Jim, let's wait!
He's played all 11 games so far for the Raiders. Louis, as Bateman goes on to seize it. Now Austin and Leilua, accommodated by Tarek Sims. Bateman stops just short of halfway. We've so far had 6 lead changes in this contest. Final play and they run at the Raiders, maybe with a reward here. Kotrick chips over the top of Nightingale, chases hard. Duffy is there. Kotrick gets him. What will they rule? Duffy has returned to the field of play, and James Graham is left to box it out from the corner.
What's he doing back there? James Graham.
Beautiful rugby league from the Raiders. A little short side raid.
Offside.
Duffy comes up trumps. With the effort from Duffy, look what happens now.
Gee, that takes the momentum out of the game. Second tackle, one side's revving up to try and put the pressure on the Saints. They find a penalty.
How refreshing is it to see use of the football like that on the final play? The Raiders spotted a chance, thought they'd try their hand, and wow, almost grabbed a fantastic reward. Nick Kotrick already with one try today. Very close to a double. He's now scored in 4 of his last 5 games, Kotrick. You can understand why the Raiders want to get the ball in his hands as Hunt finds Widdop. Widdop supported by Sims. Now Dufty hits a hole and takes another good tackle from Blake Austin. Paul Vaughan, 25 metres out, still going Vaughan against his former club. Graham turns and passes with his back to the Raiders. Frizzell trying to twist free of the tackles. So they'll set up for a final play. 11 metres out, St George Illawarra trying to return to the lead. Hunt kicks across field into the sun. Sims knocks the ball onto Widdop, who goes into the in-goal, back there watching it roll. Whiten hasn't touched it.
Okay, we got pulled
the
back.
ref has.
I think they scored him off.
6 tackles. Gets pulled back here.
Of course, we have no try. We're looking at a possible penalty try and the effect that the winger has on the touching the other winger.
A possible penalty try.
Perfectly weighted kick again. He's been
On-field decision of onside from the initial kick. There's insufficient evidence to overturn that.
Now, the rulebook doesn't say the referees have to be certain. They have to be of the opinion a try would have been caused or scored, barring the illegality.
It's backwards off St George. There's no breach by either team at the moment. We have a live ball. Nene McDonald is onside from the second kick.
I reckon this will be a penalty try here. He pulls him away. Although Whiten might have got to the ball first, I reckon.
I couldn't certainly say that's going to be a try. It will
be
be a penalty.
It'll be a penalty.
Yeah, penalty.
Well, Jack Whiten, I think, would have been first to the ball.
Right. There's interference from Jordan Rapana. We can't consider a penalty try due to the position of the Canberra fullback. However, the actions of Jordan Rapana falls into the category of professional foul. We have a decision.
I got that, mate, yep.
So, professional foul.
Penalty.
Open the lid because the bin is going to get used.
Yeah, you're allowed to shoulder, but you've actually used your hands, which you're not allowed to do. 10 minutes in the bin.
So he's off for 10 or thereabouts.
Yeah, Jack Whiten was in the area. That's why he's in the bin. It's not a penalty try, it's just a penalty. Different to when the penalty will be about here, Horse.
When time resumes, start your watch and watch it.
I heard last night, I think Andrew Voss was talking about it. It's been all the sin bins last year. So many, we've had more this year, all the way up to last year. So it's been a feature of our season in 2018 is the sin bin, how much it's been used. And it's a big play in the scheme of this match here in Mudgee.
Now, if Jordan walked any slower here, he'd be in reverse.
Well, you talk about time wasting. Why don't they just go off the sideline they're at and then they're off the ground?
Well, something needs to be done about that. That's got to be a rules committee. I'm sure they're looking at it to move that one on.
I spoke to the referees about it, and it's not their fault. They said, well, what can we do? How do we get around it? What's the solution? Now he finds the sideline. Now there are about 30 stopwatchers sideline, I suspect, timing 10 minutes.
I did see the NRL officials before the game talk to both the Dragons and the Raiders. Sin bin assigned people, explaining the rules to them.
Very good. I'm glad we finally got it right. Man on to Paul Vaughan. Still going Vaughan. Just when you think he's done, he keeps chewing off the metres. Paul Vaughan now hunts, finds Widdop, opening up here for St George Illawarra, but Tarek Sims came back the other way and lost the ball. The penalty goes to the Dragons. A late whistle here from Ashley Klein.
Well, Blake Austin, he panicked. He thought with only 12 men, he had to come flying in. He hasn't been doing it all day. Got caught upfield of the ball. They've been deemed to raking that off Tarek Sims.
You reckon he might have been getting ready to pass the ball there? Grey area in the game.
Well, they've ruled strip with multiple players in the tackle. And so it's an easy decision as Jordan Rapana cools his heels.
Gee, it's lonely in there.
Yes.
No one hardly talks to you. Sit in the corner.
A man who knows, Stephen Blocker-Roach.
It was good in my day. They used to have 5 minutes in the bin. An alternative.
What you used to do in the bin?
Oh, that's what
Don't
I'm
ask,
saying.
Danny, please.
Just sitting there,
Don't
all
ask.
me lonesome.
So Gareth Widdop, 4 from 4 today for Gareth. The Dragons captain hoping to lock us up again. The best part of 18 minutes to play, and it is 18 on 18. The last 2 meetings between these clubs go to golden points. And that man, Paul McGregor, he doesn't want to do any overtime. He wants to win it in regulation. The blood pressure is climbing.
I would imagine he'd be saying, get to the kick. Get to the kick. This must be completed, this set. And then to get a really good kick chase in and really ram home. How are they going to finish this game?
They've made twice as many errors as Canberra so far, the Dragons. That's the view at the Glen Willow Sports Stadium in the central west of New South Wales. Just the second Premiership game played in Mudgee after the first one in 2013 when Gold Coast pounded Parramatta 42-4. There's been a couple of city country games here as well in 2012 and 17, but right now Jordan Rapana is watching the clock and counting down all 10 minutes today.
Could someone just get me a water or something?
Stay behind.
Something.
So the restart down to Ben Hunt, and Paul Vaughan runs for St George Illawarra and picks his mark, the mark being Blake Austin, with Tarpany riding shotgun in defence. Tim Laffey hasn't seen a lot of the ball today, Tim. James Graham is greeted by his former clubmate at St Helens, Sia Soliola. McInnes through with it. And here's Laffey. Now there's a chance. Laffey taking good metres. Canberra retreating. And the penalty will go to St George Illawarra. Too long on the tackle player.
No, I think that was one of those dummy half ones, passing it into the player involved in the ruck, Matty.
All right.
Which is...
We're seeing more and more.
Another bugbear, but that was probably one you could give a penalty for, but we're seeing a common trend that has to go out of our game.
Watch Gareth Widdop work 2 into the post, and they'll go straight back to where they're short on that right-hand side. The Raiders, have a look at them. There's only two men marking up over that other side here.
Tarpany was never onside, but they go the other way. Ben Hunt, Frizzell.
They'll go there now.
You've got Tarek Sims one-on-one here. We'll see what happens.
Good tackle there by Whitehead. Hunt shows it, takes on the line, Ben Hunt. Now Kurt Mann causing trouble. Blake Austin with an intercept. He's off and racing. Blake Austin mowed down by Dufty. And Austin surrenders and loses the ball. At the other end of the field, the referees have a problem.
Time off.
Blake touches it.
He's touched it and it's touched the St George
So
player.
they have called a knock-on against Blake Austin. It was all in vain.
Is that a voluntary tackle?
Well, it doesn't matter, Blocky, because...
You gotta love a foot race, don't you, in our game? Speed displayed by Dufty. He's no slouch, Austin, but he knew. Looked over his left and goes, I've got this young kid, Dufty, coming. And drop it back a couple of gears.
He might have hurt his hammy here, I reckon, the way he slowed down.
Mate, I think Tarek Sims finished him off over the top. Beautiful little bit interchange of passing between Hunt and Mann. There's an all or nothing play from Austin. Yeah, just copped his hip. Jeez. Back of the head.
So have a look at it again as Blake Austin takes the intercept. And it shows it perfectly. Well spotted by Ash Klein. That was slowed right down, but Klein has spotted it. And I wonder if Blake Austin slowed down so they didn't review that touch.
Yeah, I think they're confident that they came up with that call straight away, Matty, looking back.
Oh, the referees did, but Blake didn't know they'd ruled that straight away. I wonder whether he slowed down knowing that I'll knock that on. If I score here, they'll review it and I'll be denied.
Yeah, I think he's going as fast as he could until he saw Dufty.
Yeah. Maybe I'm crediting Blake too much there. So the Dragons right on the attack. Hunts to Dufty, who gets inside Aiden Caesar. Now Ewan Aitken straightens towards Soliola. And the Raiders number up, and number up well. McInnes. Hunts and Paul Vaughan straights. Looking for an offload or looking to go all the way. Paul Vaughan. Just short of the goal line. McInnes, long and flat through Hunts. Here's Tarek Sims. Widdop flies the brakes, comes back the other way. McInnes with some fancy footwork.
You've got to hold, mate.
3 tackles down for the Raiders. James Graham. They jam in on the man they call Jammer. McInnes. Kirkman finds Widdop. An opportunity here. Tim Laffey back against the grain. Stopped by Tarpany and Adahingano. Can the Dragons hit the lead? The grubber from Widdop picked up by Aiden Caesar magnificently. Down around the ankles, under pressure, and he comes up cleanly with it.
Oh, there was opportunities everywhere for the Dragons. They just couldn't get the right shape they wanted on. Scramble defence from the Raiders, but look at those hands from Caesar. The next best thing from Widdop was trying to roll the ball in.
Well, that's only one part of the game. They defended brilliantly there, but they look up. There's still 80 metres to go up the other end. How are they going to get up there?
That stat tackled in the opposition 20, 36-17. The Dragons stopped 36 times in the second half in the Raiders 20. There's the kick from Blake Austin, suggesting his hamstring is A-OK. And Nene McDonald with some room to wind up. Big Nene throws himself at Dynamis Louis and Tarpany.
They needed a better organised kick chase, didn't they? The Raiders.
So a miscarry by Tim Laffey. This will be Raiders ball.
Not only is the lead chopping and changing, Matty, the momentum and possession. Anytime you think a team's starting to get on top, come up with an error.
Well, they're their own worst enemies, aren't they, here? The Saints of Savo. That's 10 errors from the Saints, just allowing.
There's a hand in there from Papali block.
Yeah. It's a loose carry, but
yeah. Knocked on into the
Still no
player.
Food or beverages for Jordan Rapana, blocker.
There's some head noise, though. There's a bit of head noise in there for him.
We are counting down, 2.5 to go. We've seen 2 teams play portions of game this weekend with 11 men and win. The Titans and Manly. Right now, it's the Raiders with 12. Dynamis Louis gets a pass back for Nick Kotrick. And Kotrick at halfway.
Maybe teams should be playing with 12 more often, Matty. What do you think?
I don't think the coaches will buy in, Danny. Danny Badiris. And Stephen Blocker-Roach, Hannah Hollis sideline. I hope you're enjoying the start of your Sunday ticket. After this, we're off to Cronulla against Canterbury. Adahingano from 20 metres out. He wants the middle of the field, calling Tarpany in a different direction. Joe Tarpany, he stands, gets the ball away for Leilua. Leilua, hesitant to leave that middle channel. On the last now, Caesar at the 10-metre line. Elliot Whitehead trying to reach out. Whitehead just short.
One short of the line.
And he loses it forward.
No.
So close for the Raiders. Opted to go for the try on the 5th tackle. Caesar, with his team down to 12 men, was the option to roll the ball in. He went for the try and just got knocked out of his hand to the leg of Aiken. Luckily, could have been a try to Elliot Whitehead. Let's have a look at this. Aiken's left leg. Ooh, just.
It's been a big weekend in Mudgee, great weather-wise, plenty of visitors to the city, or the town, and a race day yesterday. They're getting a good finish to the footy game feature of the weekend. 10 and a bit to play, 18 all. McInnes elects to run. He's wrapped up. No way through this time, says Joe Tarpany. Matt Duffy looked inside. Drifts by on the outside. Matt Duffy, sheer speed. Matt Duffy sends the Dragons to the lead in a round where the afterburners have blown.
Showing, going, lay off me if you will. You get that ball out there with a speedster like that, you just never know what's going to happen. They've got the Dragons faithful out of their chair and their coach. Let's have a look at the replay here. Duffy down the short side, on the ball in two hands. Look at, I think it was Dynamis Louis, just got towelled up, and then the speed. Darts straight back infield, done Whiten up, all ends, straight under the post against the 12-men Raiders.
Well, you got to feel for Whiten here. He's looking at this, the show and go back on the inside. And look at him explode here. He sees Whiten there, beats him on the outside. Croker can't come up with the tackle. There's no substitute for speed. Duffy gets the Dragons in front again. Look at that. That's great to watch.
No substitute for speed. Jimmy the Jet Roberts, Jermaine Asako in match-winning performances. Is that a match-winning performance from another flyer in Matt Duffy? I know a youngster in orange called Hayden Blowers, who every time the Dragons play, he puts his red V on, gets his sister to give him a massage, and whenever his idol Matt Duffy touches the ball, he races around the lounge room. Well, he's racing around the block right now.
But the way this match has gone the last 9 minutes, what's going to happen for the Dragons? They need to really drive this home now, but we've had so many chops and changes of what we spoke about. The points, but also the momentum.
I still reckon there's a few points left in this game.
24-18 after we're done here. With Ricky Stewart watching on. You can watch on as we go to Cronulla. Sharks, Dogs to finish round 11.
Well, every time the Saints get themselves in front, the next set of 6, they generally make an error. I wonder if that pattern will continue.
Stay behind, guys.
Hannah sideline. The crowd seems to be making a bit more noise now.
Absolutely, Maddie, and I actually have a crowd figure for you, 8,962 people here at Glen Willow Stadium. It's great to see the good people of Mudgee getting behind rugby league, and they're certainly up and about now that the Dragons have gone over.
7th lead change for the game, 24-18, but I'm with you, Blocker. I don't think we've seen the last points today. Can Canberra come again, or will St George Illawarra race away with it?
He's had a day out, hasn't he, Vaughan?
Been good, eh?
He's got 23 tackles, 14 hit-ups. Against his old teammates. Everyone loves coming up against their old teammates.
Spent 4 years at the Canberra Raiders, 85 games. As James Graham tries to beat a fellow Englishman, Elliot Whitehead. He can't do so. And then Whitehead ducks under the pass from McInnes. And play continues accordingly. Jordan Rapana.
Well, they got that set out, the Dragons. Now they need to get this defensive set out. It should take them a long way to getting victory here.
Jared Croker, it's his first visit to Mudgee, he told me. I was surprised that a Goulburn boy hadn't found his way to Mudgee at some stage in his life, but it is a tricky old road between Goulburn and Mudgee. Via Oberon. Nick Kotrick at halfway. This is Aidan Caesar, and Austin couldn't reach out to take the pass. The Raiders have knocked it on. The look says it all.
Yeah, the question has been posed for the Raiders this season. How do they close the game out? It's been too all familiar story. Is the errors in crucial times for them?
Well, when you see the Saints running at the line like that, they're nice and fast and flat.
Make sure you get there, guys.
Now, the error come there from the Canberra Raiders that time because they were too far, too deep. the pass was impossible. Caesar was trying to dig into the line, and Austin was too far back. That's why the knock-on occurred.
All on now, so we need 6 here. Heads in. Okay, in square. Clock
The
off.
Raiders have had 6 losses so far this season, and in 4 of them, they've actually led at the 60-minute mark. Of course, today we were level well past 60. You touched on a good point.
They've got a +7 differential going into this match, so it shows they're not far off. But it's just how do you close out a game.
Josh, look square.
And there's a whistle,
up.
and the hand is pointed.
You've got to maintain
That's
balance.
that,
His way.
that's that momentum change we've been talking about all afternoon.
And Toby goes for a bit of distance here with the kick downfield. And it's a beauty. 30 out now. Come on, Raiders. What have they got?
On the line, guys.
Converted try sees us level again.
You want more time in Mudgee block, don't you? Go to Golden Point.
No matchup has ever gone to Golden Point 3 games in a row. Is that about to happen?
Arms away now.
The Raiders need a converted try. Austin just rolls it off the hand for Tarpany. Just setting up at the moment. Canberra not really taking the line on. Harveely, he scoots out dummy half to leave a Harveely. Speaking about playing against your former club. From 5 metres out, Bateman turns, sees Caesar. Caesar sits it up for Whitehead, who did well to take the pass. The Dragons were right on top of him, and he only just got hold of it. Harveely to Bateman, now Caesar. That's a better ball, but it arrives at the ankles of Aiden Caesar. It wasn't meant for Caesar.
Great job, Tarek Sims. Look at the desperation for his team to get on this ball. That's when you know you're playing with a player. Another ball from Austin. A drop from Austin, sorry. There it is. Terrible pass from Caesar, but if you can find Sims in the picture just jumping on that, that's when you know you're in a desperate footy team.
Yeah, just little things you need to do. That loose ball on the ground. Who's going to be the first to get to it?
2 passes in a row from Caesar to Austin that have been oh so difficult for Blake, and he's put it down. And inside the final 5, down by 6, you don't need to say how important that mistake is. The ball was at a perfect height for Joe Tarpany, but he wasn't in range to reach out and take it.
Looked a little bit structured, didn't they? That a couple of shots they did have down there. I think off the cuff is the way for the Raiders at times.
Cam McInnes. Here's Jack DeBellin. If he's still carrying that hip injury, he's doing so pretty well. And he carries a few Raiders with him there. Look at Tarek Sims. Hard onto the ball, making sure that Canberra have to apply themselves defensively. Luke Bateman does that. From 5 out, here's Gareth Widdop trying to steer 1 point through. He pumps his fist because the Dragons are going to collect 2 more premiership points, surely.
As we spoke about earlier, how skillful is Gareth Widdop? He's got the knack to win games. Look at this, fake to his right. It's all about the left. And he just punches that through perfectly. We saw last night, Adam Reynolds tried to do that for the Rabbitohs and end up with the penalty goal through Granville being offside, but there was no chance there of that missing for the skill of Gareth Widdop.
Gareth Widdop with the 7th field goal of his career, his first of the season. And he pushes the Dragons out by 7. 3.5 left.
He's 10. Get close to Joseph.
The Sharks and the Dogs warming up at Southern Cross Group Stadium. That game coming your way next on Fox League. Can Cronulla make it 5 in a row? Quite remarkable considering the injuries they've had to handle over the past month. Now they're starting to get troops back, including Josh Dugan this afternoon. DeBellin inside the 20. Last play here. An important play as they look to close this one out, and Ben Hunt does so supremely. Along the ground with purpose, he finds the sideline, and that clock continues to tick.
Taking control, Ben Hunt. Been relatively quiet, or kept quiet today. Don't know how that injury is going for Hunt. He just got through the game.
They're just good on both sides of the field, aren't they? Just game management. Widdop has been absolutely outstanding. When needed, he stood up.
with one game left to go in this round. Let's have a look at the live ladder. And it will show St George Illawarra with victory here, going 2 points ahead of Penrith. They would have stayed on top on the points differential, even if beaten. And the Canberra Raiders, who are trying to crack that top 8, will drift 4 points outside of that. As I mentioned, they're trying to resurrect their season after the slow start. There were good signs coming into this one. They'd taken 4 of 6. But it will be back-to-back losses after falling to Cronulla last week. And they're on track to go down against the Dragons. Caesar finds Whiten on Croker, the flick offload, but Kotrick no room to work with. And Hunt makes the tackle. 2 minutes left. The Raiders need to score this set as Caesar falls in behind Bateman. Play allowed to continue. Tarpany in the setting sunlight in Mudgee. They just throw it away. And the Dragons will slow it down now. A rough afternoon for James Graham, who finds himself on the deck again. But really, what a move it's been for James Graham from Canterbury to St George Illawarra, where he's loving life, according to the man himself, reborn as a Dragon.
I think he's playing a role with. It doesn't always have to be stats for James Graham. I think his presence and the way he conducts himself within the group and the team is highly important. That's what he's been brought to the club for, just for those leadership moments. He displays those all the time. But his front row partner today has been outstanding in Paul Vaughan.
He picked up a knock really early, and despite 11 runs, just 27 metres, I'm not sure he's been at peak fitness for this game after that early injury. But we know he's a competitor, and we know that if he can continue, he will, no matter what the impediment. And he's trying to do whatever he can to get the Dragons home again. Chasing a 9-2 record. And doesn't this game really set up next Saturday night on Fox League? St George Illawarra against Penrith at the foot of the mountains. You'll see it only on Fox League. And that leads the Dragons into their first bye at the halfway point of their season. There could be as many as 12 Origin hopefuls on show next Saturday. And this man is one of them. De Bellin puts it on the ground, picked up by Tarpany. Only seconds remaining, but well done, Paul McGregor. Well done, St George Illawarra. The siren sounds, the ball is lost, and the Dragons prevail again. Tough times for Ricky Stewart. That trip back to Canberra will be a long one. 3 tries all, but a perfect 6 from 6 via the boot of Gareth Widdop, plus the field goal. And the Dragons get home 25-18.